What's going on, guys? Ryan O'Toole back here again, giving you guys another top 10 list. If you guys are new here, feel free to click that subscribe button and that bell notification icon for more reviews, reactions, rankings, and more movie content. About a month ago, I gave you guys my top 30 favorite movies of all time. That was a very tough video to do. There were so many movies that I love, and ranking them was the most difficult part about it. And now, since I uploaded that video, I figured I'd do another top 10 of my favorite movies of all time, but in a specific genre. I figured I'd give you guys my top 10 favorite action movies of all time. Now, I know a lot of you are not going to agree with my list, and you guys are going to have completely different lists than mine. That's why we have a comment section. So let me know in the comment section below what your top 10 favorite action movies of all time are, and give me your reasons as well. Why do you love these movies? Why are they some of your favorite action movies of all time? What did they do to you personally? I have 6 honorable mentions, so let's breeze right through them. My first one is First Blood, the first film in the Rambo franchise, and this is the best Rambo movie by far. This was just a very simple premise about Rambo versus a bunch of cops. These cops are basically targeting Rambo just because he entered this very rural small town just to visit an old buddy of his, and he's just fighting the police out in the woods. It's a very fantastic action movie in here. Point Break, directed by Catherine Bigelow, starring Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. This was just a really grounded bank robbery heist action film. You got Keanu Reeves and Patrick Swayze. They're definitely some of the best duos in action movies altogether. It's a very typical 90s cheesy heist movie, but it's got some great action in here. The 2 Mission Impossible movies that didn't crack the top 10, Rogue Nation and Ghost Protocol, 2 fantastic spy espionage action films. Ghost Protocol, Brad Bird stepped into the director's chair and completely took the franchise in a completely different level. Tom Cruise stepping out in the Dubai Tower and doing his own stunts, and then Rogue Nation taking it even higher with Christopher McQuarrie. The plane sequence, the underwater sequence, and then the motorcycle scene just cemented the Mission Impossible series to be in such a great action franchise, and you'll see another one in the top 10. Kill Bill Volume 1 and Kill Bill Volume 2, Quentin Tarantino, these action movies right here with Uma Thurman as the bride. They're just a great story all around, and Volume 1's a straight up action bloody revenge movie where the bride is basically getting revenge, trying to kill Bill, and that doesn't happen till the second one. And the first one's just got some of the best action I've ever seen, and you got a great badass female hero, and the second one as well has some great action. My last honorable mention is going to be Predator. Get to the chopper! Arnold Schwarzenegger. This is definitely not the only Schwarzenegger movie that's going to be on this list, and this is one of Arnold Schwarzenegger's most iconic movies. John McTiernan, and this is not the only John McTiernan movie that's going to be on this list. Predator was just a fantastic action movie from the late 80s. A great concept, great plot, just these group of soldiers trying to find their way to survival from this predator creature. All great action movies, phenomenal, but just couldn't crack my top 10 list. Now let's get to my number 10. Coming in at number 10, I'm gonna cheat and I'm gonna put the original Bourne Trilogy with Matt Damon. You got the Bourne Identity, the Bourne Supremacy, and the Bourne Ultimatum, my favorite of the trilogy. These action movies right here don't get the attention that they did before, because when the Bourne Trilogy came out, it got a lot of controversy, and a lot of people hated the casting of Matt Damon. When Paul Greengrass stepped into the second movie and did the third one, that's just when this whole series skyrocketed. I've always talked about the action in the Bourne Ultimatum. That Bourne versus Desh fight scene in the house, it's very shaky cam. Everybody says it's very shaky cam, but it's shaky cam done right. Paul Greengrass knows shaky cam. I love the Bourne Trilogy. I think Jason Bourne as a character does go through a lot, but he's just such an invincible hero that does have a heart to him at times. Coming in at number 9, we got the 4th installment coming out in a couple years, got delayed, and it's The Matrix. The Matrix 1999, directed by the Wachowskis. The Wachowskis stepping in here creating this sci-fi action franchise. And The Matrix was just groundbreaking at the time when it came out in 1999. It took action in a completely different level that we've never seen before. And you got Keanu Reeves. Of course, Keanu Reeves was big in the 90s. And then you got Lawrence Fishburne in there as well. And you got Hugo Weaving as Mr. Agent Smith, one of the greatest, coolest villains in cinema history, revolutionary in action filmmaking, some of the coolest badass fight sequences you're ever gonna watch. That stairway fight, the slow-mo shots, just every movie today just tries to be The Matrix and they fail, because this movie was groundbreaking at its time and revolutionary. Coming in at number 8 is going to be Aliens, directed by James Cameron, the godfather of directing sequels, and this movie was groundbreaking and awesome. Aliens, a great, phenomenal sequel that does everything the first one did, but takes it in a different genre, turning it into an action movie. Eleanor Ripley returns in here, Sigourney Weaver is fantastic, and it's got some really groundbreaking, terrifying special effects in here. You got Newt, great mother and daughter relationship right there. It's iconic. You got Michael Biehn, Paul Reiser, and Bill Paxton, rest in peace. It's just, Aliens is everything of what a sequel should be. And James Cameron directs one of his best films and one of the greatest action films of all time. Coming in at number 7 is going to be a film that took the James Bond series in a completely different direction with Casino Royale. Martin Campbell returning to direct after GoldenEye. Daniel Craig's first outing as James Bond. Everybody was hateful towards the casting. A blonde-haired James Bond, that's just really weird. But everybody was wrong, because Daniel Craig is one of the greatest James Bonds ever. The first act of this movie is a non-stop action movie, and it's got some of the best action of all time with that parkour sequence. 7 minutes of suspenseful action and beautiful special effects. And Daniel Craig sold it as James Bond in that parkour scene. This movie is fantastic. Everybody who has seen Casino Royale, pretty much everyone agrees this is one of the best Bond movies. I'm so excited for No Time to Die, the conclusion to Daniel Craig as Bond. Coming in at number 6 is going to be another cheat, the John Wick trilogy of what we've seen so far. John Wick 1, 2, and 3. Of course, we got the 4th one coming out in a couple of years. It did get delayed. And you guys know I love the John Wick trilogy. The first one is probably my favorite. It's just the best story out of the 3. John Wick, you resonate with this guy after his wife dies and his dog gets brutally murdered. I'm sure you all have seen John Wick. It is a fantastic movie all around. What a surprise hit as well. The nightclub sequence is one of the greatest action scenes I've ever seen. The second one would probably be my least favorite, but again, the action is phenomenal. You got great villain in there like Common. Really weak villain with Ruby Rose, but the second one's great. But Parabellum, the third one, just takes the action into a completely different level. There are so many action scenes in the third one that are just some of the best I've seen for an R-rated action series. This past decade, it's one of the best of this past decade. I'm so excited for the 4th one, and Keanu Reeves, this is his best series. Before we give you guys my top 5 favorite action movies of all time, if this is your guys' first time checking out the channel and you enjoyed hearing my thoughts on all these action movies, do me a huge favor, hit that like button. It really helps with the algorithm, and consider clicking that subscribe button, because I do tons of rankings, top 10 lists, reviews, reactions, tons of video content, and I also have a podcast called the Fallen for Film Podcast, where me and my co-host Colin Williams dive into all the movie trends and movie news, and the best thing is I do this on a weekly basis. Let's continue. My number 5 is going to be Mission Impossible Fallout. Recency bias, but no, I have seen Fallout 8+ times. I love Mission Impossible Fallout, and Tom Cruise is insane. Just all the stunts that he does in this movie is no other actor in Hollywood can do it at this level like this man is doing. I mean, Fallout just kicks it off right away with that helicopter sequence where you got Tom Cruise falling out of that helicopter and doing his own stunts. And it's just groundbreaking the way Fallout was set out. And then it's just a whole movie all around where our heroes do lose a lot. Number 4 is Mad Max Fury Road. What a fantastic, phenomenal action movie this was right here. 2015, going to see this movie on opening night. I didn't know what to think of it. I haven't seen any of the Mad Max movies when I first saw this film. Many people think it's overrated, and I definitely disagree with those people. Mad Max Fury Road is one of the greatest action films ever made. And George Miller is the reason why this movie is as phenomenal as it is. If you do not like this movie or think it's overrated, I highly implore you to watch the behind the scenes for this movie and all the work they put into making this movie. It was a long process. I love Mad Max Fury Road. It's gotten a phenomenal score. It's just well made and it's crazy awesome. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Die Hard. Yippee-ki-yay. Die Hard, one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. You got John McClane, Bruce Willis. Just a simple story all around. John McClane going to visit his wife, and then at the Nakatomi Plaza, a group of terrorists break in, and you got Alan Rickman as Hans Gruber, one of the greatest villains in cinema history. Die Hard just has some phenomenal action in it, and a very simple story, and a very reasonable man with John McClane. He was basically trying to make amends with his wife, and he's just a normal guy trying to do what's right. He does have that cop-isms to him, but John McClane just makes this movie what it is. Bruce Willis's performance, as well as Alan Rickman, a very great villain, just make Die Hard into just being an iconic action film. Number 2 is going to be Raiders of the Lost Ark. Raiders of the Lost Ark, Steven Spielberg, one of his best movies. Indiana Jones, the starting point to the series, and Harrison Ford is Indiana Jones. Enough is said. Raiders is the best of all of them. Harrison Ford makes this whole entire series what it is. When you do get Temple of Doom and Last Crusade in here, but then you got issues with King with the Crystal Skull. But I am super pumped for Indiana Jones 5 with James Mangold, and the reason why is because of what Spielberg did with Indiana Jones as a series. But coming in at number 1 for me is going to be Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Terminator 2 is just, what else can I say about this movie that hasn't already been said? T2 is one of the greatest sequels, best sci-fi films, action films ever made. Arnold Schwarzenegger as the T-800 had a great first movie where he played the villain, and this time he's the hero protecting John Connor. What a great twist right away. The T-1000, what a phenomenal villain in here, and it's a very simple owner and dog story in here. We got John Connor and the T-800. T2 just has everything that's satisfactory from a beginning, middle, and end, and with the thumbs up at the end, you're just crying. I pretty much was crying anytime I watched this movie. So yeah, without a doubt, T2 is my favorite action movie. There you have it, guys. Those are my top 10 favorite action movies of all time. Again, let me know your top 10 list down below in the comments, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you guys, as always, for watching this video. All my social media links are in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Hasta la vista, baby.